Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens. Today's episode, Making the Writing for Screens book, number 4, actually, not 3. Production and Marketing. My name is Glenn Gers, and I am the Chief Operating Everything of Writing for Screens, this channel in which I have tried to put together some skills and tools and insights that I had to teach myself in a 25-year career writing for TV and movies. On my way out of the business, I am leaving behind what I can in the form of videos. This channel has a set of videos. This is a picture of the screen grab of the main page. And if you scroll down, you'll see there are playlists. The first 3 playlists are Screenwriting Essentials, Screenwriting Tools, Skills, and Craft, and The Process, Being a Writer. These 3 playlists on my channel, the top of the channel, have about 50 10-minute videos. I like to call them the lessons. Each video has a topic. The topic is the title and it's the thumbnail, a great big colorful big bold word that tells you what it's about. So you can just browse these things and see dialogue, character, process of questions, thinking in scenes, script format, all these different topics, 10 minutes on each with a whole bunch of useful tips, things to try. They are not a system. There is no rule. There is no right or wrong way to be a screenwriter. Every artist must figure out their own path and make their own way based on what they care about and who they are. That is what I am teaching here, and all I'm trying to do is give you a pile of things for you to try to see which ones work for you and which ones don't. The ones that don't, they'll help you to know what does. All of that is part of learning to be an artist. A lot of being an artist is learning how to figure things out for yourself, because there is no one right way to do things. So therefore, all I'm doing is taking the things I had to teach myself, showing them to you in case they are useful to you. Having made those 50 videos, I then started live streams every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time Zone. I come on and talk about a different topic live. The topic today is going to be turning those 50 lesson videos into a book. I'm doing some reports over this summer as I prepare the book to release around Labor Day, early September. And so what I'm doing here is just filling you in on what's going on as I go from a person who does videos to a person who is putting out a book, self-publishing a book. So that is what we are here to do. Going to start talking about that. First, a couple of quick hellos. Hi, Akari and Thomas. Hello, bearded screenwriter and Doreen. Good to see all of you. Okay, let's talk, because here's the deal. I am into the production and marketing phase. The text of the book is basically done. I still have a bunch of proofreading and formatting that I've got to do, but that's really the production of 2 things: the physical book, a paperback book, and an ebook, which would go out to Kindles and Nooks and Zoops and all the different forms of e-reader. What I'm going to talk about is what I've had to teach myself in order to learn this production stuff, and what I'm trying to figure out in terms of the marketing. When I've done talking about that, if there are questions, feel free to ask them. Also, because this is sort of, obviously, most people are not taking a set of videos and turning them into a bunch of to a book. So therefore, you would think this is not very helpful. But what I have run into with it, which I think is helpful, is that I am in over my head because I have never done this before. And there's plenty of how-to stuff. There's plenty of people to explain how you do this. But still, no matter what, when you are doing something that you have never done before, you have to get used to, plan for, prepare for being overloaded by new things you have to do with learning things, with understanding them, with finding out that no matter how much you can learn about something, until you actually do it, you are in the dark, you are blind. The other thing is the ignorance. There's just so much I don't know. And a lot of things, no matter how much you might read a how-to book or watch videos or even get a consultant, these things, you're still going to find things you don't know, you didn't find out, you didn't learn. And it's really important to plan for that, to say, I need to be prepared as I take each step to first of all have to stop and learn, stop and figure out, stop and research. The other thing is I have to deal with my overload. I overload very easily. I don't know about you, but when I'm doing new things, whatever they are, it kind of freaks me out. So I need to plan that in. I need to say, I have to be prepared to work with the overloading happening, which means very often taking a break, breaking things into small parts. And so I want to talk about that. And I also want to talk about the fact that no matter how much you plan, you are going to run into reality. So those are the three things that I am trying to work into my process, to try and say, okay, I am doing a thing I've never done before. I know that I can learn things I've never done before. And also I basically understand the concepts. I have done a couple of months of research on this, but still, when you do something new, you overload. I overload. Don't know about you. Some people might obsess. I obsess, but I freak out. I can't handle it. And the other thing is that my estimates, my plans, my vision, it's all going to bump into the reality of life. And so what I found helps me is, first of all, breaking everything into small steps. For instance, I'm trying to compile for the back of the book and for advertising, I'm going to use a bunch of YouTube comments. I'm going to take I've got a lot of people who have commented that my work has helped them. So I'm going to just collect a bunch of those little quotes and pile them up. I think it'll be a really cool visual. It's also very different to be able to say, look, this is people who have actually been helped by my stuff. As opposed to getting like somebody to, sorry, I'm moving my mic a little closer. As opposed to getting somebody, some famous person, not that I know many of them, but I do know a couple of people who are fairly respectable producers and things, and I could get blurbs from them, but honestly, who cares? Blurbs, schmerbs. I mean, it just doesn't matter. But what is unique to what I'm doing here is I have an audience, thank you, who have already said that these lessons, these chapters, which is what each lesson is, each video is turning into its own little chapter, they work, they help. So in order to do that, I had to collect all the comments, which I've gone through. When I get a comment, I put it in a email file, because I get an email saying with the comment. But turning those email files, a big stack of emails, into a document and then weeding through it is something that I just it's taking days. And that's relatively easy. That's relatively, just like it's busy work. It's like, okay, I'm going to cut and paste and cut and paste and cut and paste. But one of the things I discovered was when I cut and paste from emails into my word processing software, something has happened which really, really messed up the document. Don't know what it is. Some hidden piece of the email formatting got tangled up in the word processing software and it wasn't working. So I had to copy and paste all of these comments out of my word processing software into TextEdit, the plainest, blandest, like strip it down as I could. Then from there into a different word processing software, then there back, I just had to keep saving as until I could clean out whatever was gumming up the works. The point is, every plan you make, everything that you say, I'm going to learn this and then I'm going to know how to do it, you're still going to run into stuff that you don't know how to do, that you didn't expect, that doesn't go the way you thought. So what I found I need to do is just say everything is small steps. Everything is just a little bit of the way. Like I have to go through and proofread. I have to go through and work with the designer on the interior design of the book. All of these things, I'm just saying, just one step at a time, because I tend to think of planning everything. The other thing that helps is time. Saying if you're going to take small steps, it's going to be over days, it's going to be over weeks, it's going to be over months, because you're breaking this up. Even if it's like a couple hundred hours, which you could in theory do in a week or two if you just like sat and grind on it. I can't do that, and I don't think it's healthy to do it. So what I've been doing is giving myself time, taking each step and working through it. But the other thing I'm doing, as I say here, is letting it feel bad. In other words, to recognize that reality is going to mess with my plans, that I'm going to feel overloaded, which makes you feel vulnerable or like it's not worth it or whatever it is, all of those things. So I have to leave room for that. Partly just say it's going to feel bad, but then also say, okay, what can I do to make that bad feeling not stop me? And the way I do that is I try and get the stuff done early in the day, and then I try and do things that make me feel better in the later part of the day and in the evening. While these are all, I think, generalizations that can help anyone who is trying to do something they have not done before, because if you are trying to learn to write something, if you're trying to learn to write a screenplay and you've never written one, whatever it is, I believe these feelings, these experiences are going to hit you. However, you're also going to run into those that are particular for you. And so like some people, they rush. They just always rush. Other people, they take way too long. I've discovered that my particular vulnerabilities here are, for one thing, I overplan. First of all, I make too many plans, considering that reality is going to mess them up. And second of all, I just take too long making plans. I love making plans. It's so much better than experience. I also over-research. I will say I have to read every single online article and watch every single video on how to self-publish a book. They're very repetitive. And the other thing that I'm running into is collaborating. I'm having to work with designers. I'm going to have to work with various people. And I have a hard time with that. For one thing, I'm uncomfortable putting people through the inevitable back and forth that collaboration requires. I feel like, I should be able to prepare in such a way that all questions are answered and we can all just do it right away. It's not possible. So as a result, I over prepare, which only makes the back and forth worse because I have too much to convey. And it's not easy for me to say, do what I say. But in this case, it's not an equal collaboration. Someone is being hired to work for me. It takes a while, even though I do know what I want. And I do believe that it's proper for me to say what I want. It's just not easy. I always say, like, are you okay? Is this all right? Which is not helpful. The other thing that I've had to work on is starting to think about marketing, which I have not, since I started working on this channel, which was 5 years ago now. And at that time, I went on social media. I even bought some ads on social media, tried to stir things up, which, by the way, didn't work very well. And so now I got to stop doing that once the channel was going pretty well. And once I decided I didn't want to take over the world and be the biggest #1 channel as much as I wanted to be a channel I felt comfortable doing. I wanted to start thinking about marketing. So the first thing is I have to learn about marketing books, because marketing books is somewhat different from other things. And the other thing is to try and figure out how to connect with and revive my fan base, which is sort of lulled into there's a small collection of you who check in on the live streams, but a lot of other people, when I stopped doing the shorter videos, slowly but surely, this became not that useful a channel for them. So I need to figure out how to get that going. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing short form videos again. which I have not done. Actually, I'm going to do short form, like really short, like what Reels and TikToks, which I've never done before. So I'm having to learn that. Another thing I don't know how to do. But the main focus of my marketing, here, and I'll show you. Let's just share my screen. So this is the list of things I'm trying to figure out. These are my notes for this live stream, but it is still the work list that I'm doing. Which is the first thing is YouTube. Obviously, you guys are out there. So I have to start making videos to promote the book. But I'm also going to have to figure out ways to, frankly, reach out to other people on YouTube, see if I can get interviewed or collaborate or share, and so, which I've never done. And a little nervous about that. But the thing about it is at least I have a specific goal. As I say here, there's this online marketing mythology. And that really, it's really deceptive and it's really seductive. But almost there's this whole world of videos telling you how to make videos, telling you how to sell videos, telling you how to, like, all this stuff. There are various influencers whose influence is helping you influence, which is just twisted. But the main thing is, while some of what they say is true, for me, most of it, the thing I've always felt about all creative work is if you are doing the exact same thing that everyone else is doing, no matter how well you do it, there's something in the audience's mind that says, oh yeah, I know what that is. Who cares? And so the thing I'm always try to do is say, like, what can I do that people will say, well, at least that's not the same thing as everything else. It may be sloppy, it may be messy, it may not be exactly what I want, but at least it's different. And for the people who are bored of the routine, but also the people who respect the vision being conveyed, that's so much more important than being slick, or even more important than having a big hit. But the main thing about marketing is that it's geared to a sort of build up and then trying to get this big flurry of attention at the opening weekend, the release of the book. For books, it's very much trying to get enough copies sold or ordered in a short period of time in order to stir the algorithm. Because that makes you the best-selling, screenwriting book on Amazon for like 24 hours. And people, that's an exciting claim to make. I'm number one on Amazon, which honestly, if you start to pay attention to that, anyone can get to be number one on Amazon for about half an hour. The point for me is that the amount of effort that it takes to try to stir up that big burst when you're competing against more money, star power, all these other things that are trying to get people's attention, I don't think that's the right way to go for me. I think it's better to think of this as a thing that's going to be an ongoing slow seller, a long tail. I'm not going to really, I'm going to make a push when the book comes out. But the main thing is just to have it be there. That's really always been my idea of the purpose of YouTube, of Substack, of Amazon, of all these things, is to say, when someone stumbles into it, it will be there for them. And that's what I can provide. So that's as much as I know that there's a whole lot of things you're supposed to do. And I have a lot of friends who have written books and self-published them or published them through what are called hybrid publishers, which means basically self-publishing, but with some people who know what they're doing. And they're all doing the same thing on social media. They're all asking, what are you reading? Or showing pictures of themselves doing readings at a bookstore. And honestly, does that make anybody ever want to buy a book? I don't think so. I do think, and this is on my list here, when I move past that, is the Amazon page, that the actual, most books are bought on Amazon. And so So it is important to make that, as I quoted from a how-to site that I read, it could be that the Amazon page is the only thing anyone knows about your book. That many people, they just go on Amazon and search. And so they search screenwriting books. And if Amazon deigns to algorithm you to their attention, what they're going to see is that page. So I do need to get a good description, good by my rights, by my definition. Get a cover, which I've got, author bio, all these things. So the point is that that's on me. I have to do that. But the other thing is advertising, especially on social media. That may be worth doing. I'm starting to think that it's worth putting a few ads out on various social media sites or paying to have my posts about the book hyped up a little bit. It does seem right. There's also screenwriting magazines, which I think I'm going to look into if they take ads, which I suspect they do. And social media, I have to figure out, I have to learn more about TikTok and LinkedIn and Reddit. These are things I don't really use that much, but I think they're interesting and they might be fun. So those are the things that I'm going to look at. The other thing is, the good thing is, because I do have this channel and now I have the book and I do have my videos out there, I may be enough of a name or have enough of a following to get people to do interviews or live streams or podcasts with me. And that now I've shied away from that because I hate selling. But in this case, I have a specific thing to sell. I don't mind selling if I care about the thing I'm selling. So we'll see. These are the things I'm looking at. The big question I have is the thing that started me that kicked me into teaching in 2019 was I was a guest speaker at a couple of panels at the Austin Screenwriting Conference, which happens in October every year. And it was exciting and it was interesting. And I finally said, you know what, I'm going to make my screenwriting site. And that was what started me. So I'm kind of thinking, should I go back? I have not been since 2019 because there was COVID and life got in the way. But the question is, it costs money and time to travel to another city, to stay in a hotel, I have to even find out if they allow. At the time when I went, there were people who had set up like little stands at the screenwriting conference where they sold their book or videos or whatever. And I have to find out if they still do that. But that money could also be paying for ads in their program or in other conference programs or online. Is the cost worth it to go? On the other hand, it's kind of a cool experience to go. So I'm debating that. I'll have to come up to it. The other thing is Film Courage, which got me most of my audience. I haven't been on Film Courage since 5 years ago when I did that video, which was fairly viral. But I think the reason is because they said, like, would you like to do more? And I was like, I have nothing to say. I mean, I'm putting stuff on my videos. It seemed dumb for me. Even though I really liked them and I liked being there. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start to gather thoughts for new things to say, because 5 years have happened and there are new subjects. There's algorithms and DIY and there's AI and the changes in the industry and the fact that I have a book. So I think that I may have enough to talk about to do another round of Film Courage videos. So that's the other thing I'm thinking of. So this is where I am, trying to learn all these things. I at least do feel fairly confident about my method of working, which is, yeah, I am definitely not following the proper rules of how to be on the internet and sell books. But I do think that the things I have to say and the way I say them, they're working. they're working enough for my satisfaction, and I feel comfortable and confident that I am doing something that I can live with. Because that's the thing. You don't want to be selling something and feel inauthentic. You want to feel like you don't really mean it. You want to make sure that if you're selling something, that it's something you believe people should buy. Anyway, so that's what's been on my mind. I'm going to now get into the comments. Hi, A-Link. Hey, Aiden Lynch. Oh, thank you. I'm really glad. It's not that long now. Mid-September, I'm hoping, early to mid-September. So it's a foreseeable future. Hi, Skepular. Hi, Michael. Thomas, talking about my formatting problem, says Apple May allows you to change emails to rich text formats. Which, you know what? You are right, and I hadn't thought of that. I was just copying. I had to, yeah. I used the rich text, but I didn't. Good point, Thomas. Thank you. Joseph says that my mic is great. Oh, thank you. I am glad. I'm using an old mic. It's a Yeti. And sorry about the bump. And I think what really makes it crisp is me being close to it, because now as you can see it. Yeah. Okay. Imogen's here. How are you doing? I hope the flooding has receded. Imogen, I know you're in Texas, right near it. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you. Michael says school teachers love getting free books. It might be recommended reading. I was thinking about that, and the thing I thought was, so much of my lessons are kind of taking shots at people who teach theories. And so I'm not sure that I'm going to go over well with screenwriting teachers. I might sound some out. I know some. But I do tend to cut down the thing that they are doing, because most screenwriting teachers have a very specific theory. They're like, you have to follow this formula. And that's the one thing that I am saying don't pay much attention to. But you know what? It's worth asking. It's worth trying. Like you said, send them a copy of the book, or ask them if they want a copy of the book. And then let it be, let it go. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. I just made that decision. The decision is, send it to at least check with teachers and schools. A-Link says, I like YouTube shorts. Yes, you could do short, concise tips. Exactly, A-Link. Nuggets of inspiration. Exactly what I'm thinking. And add a link to your website and your channel with the book info. Yes, you and I are thinking alike, A-Link. I have started to watch some YouTube shorts and some TikTok shorts and Instagram Reels, trying to get that vertical video thing going. I'd never do it so far. I'm going to research it. I always just do it with people, like comedians or interviews with interesting people and celebrities, or subway takes, or, things like that. So, but at least I'm getting the concept of what these little snippets are. And I do actually think I have a lot of snippets, because in my various lessons and chapters, there's always little things that I break out as these, slogans, like, here, let me show you, like, every artist has to make their own path. Like, that could be a 30-second thing where I talk a little bit about that, or rules are tools, or you learn art by doing it. I got a lot of snippets. Snippets. All right. Speaking at festivals is good. People post those panels and post them on YouTube. Yes, I do think it's good. I'm not shy. I'm loath to shake up my life, and traveling to go to festivals feels like I'm shaking up my life. That's probably not a healthy attitude. So I'll probably try to do a little travel. Hey, Roddy, good to see you. Yes, it's been a minute. I'm glad that you are back. Most young teachers are breaking away from the past. They're future writers. Yes, I hope so. To tell you the truth, I mostly know old. They're showing the writers to be themselves. Yeah, I would love that. Unfortunately, I mostly know old screenwriting teachers, and they're really stuck in their ways. So we'll see. Okay. So that concludes my little catch you up on the book and my talking through my thoughts in case they are useful to you in your life. I got to say, it's always hard to know more and more. But the point is, ask questions if you got them. Feel free, any topic, whatever. We got half an hour, go. But in the meantime, I will say these live streams, and it has been encouraging. When I went through, I have about 2,000 YouTube comments that I collected over the years, the past 5 years. And to see that, especially the live streams, which I often feel awkward doing because they do seem to me potentially narcissistic. And so when people say they actually help them, which I really appreciate, to go back and see how many people have said they've been helpful, because the thing I'm trying to do, the reason I'm putting out this book is to sort of close off this portion of my online work, not to stop it, but to transform it. And I've talked about this in some other live streams, to transform it into more of sharing my new explorations and less of looking back over things I've done and trying to share lessons from them. The lessons will come as I learn them. That's what I'm hoping to do now, because I'm venturing into new fields like publishing books. And one of the reasons I'm self-publishing this book is so that when I finish my novel, hopefully next spring or so, I can publish that. And I'll have to debate with myself, do I even submit it to real publishers? Because of the incredible delay, the months and years it takes to get things published. And I'm, as I've said, rather impatient about that. But the point is that that's going to be the subject of most of my new, after the book is done, subject of my ongoing live streams and lessons and Substacks and whatever is going to be the stuff I'm doing next, working on the novel. I'm going to try and share the way that seems to be helpful, and to try and cull from those experiences I am having my next lessons. Because honestly, I've finished screenwriting lessons. I've said enough. I'm tired of myself. Skepular says, AI is a new source of thought in the universe. As it gets politicized, I hope we don't lose the awe for that. It's a topic. It's going to be, I've been seeing so much stuff about AI, not just creative AI, but excuse me, AI, AI as it affects society, employment, politics, people's brains. All of those things are hotly debated right now. So I'm getting asked a lot about it, so I will continue to discuss it. Imogen says, probably the least narcissistic writer I've ever learned from or watched online. Thank you. That is good. Genuinely have yes, that is, oh, thank you, Imogen. That is exactly what I think I have to offer. I genuinely do not like if I was just doing YouTube videos or whatever, to have a channel, to be a personality, there's a lot of things I would do differently. But I don't want to do, given my choice, I would not do that. The reason I do this is because one of the few things that makes me interested in talking to anyone is talking about this, talking about writing and culture and reading and making and film and all those things, which to me are all one thing. That's what I'm here for. That is what I like to do. And it does seem like that is in some ways unique because it is unmediated by the process of selling or even of teaching. It is as authentic as I can make it. So thank you, Imogen. I really appreciate that. A Link says, about the festivals, maybe just do local ones. I'm assuming they're still in the LA area. Yes, back in the day, there was something going on almost all the time. That's true, but I'll tell you, A Link, the problem with it is this is a lot like Superman, which, by the way, if you have not seen Superman, James Gunn's new Superman film, it's fabulous. It is delightful. I just went opening day, absolutely loved it. It's just refreshing and really, really heartfelt and human within an enormous amount of playfulness. It's just terrific. Anyway, sorry, but back to LA and me. Like everyone on Krypton, like on Krypton, Superman was not particularly, he didn't have powers. He was just a guy. But when he comes here, where the atmosphere and the sun are different, he's super powered. I am in Los Angeles just a guy. There are too many screenwriters with credits like mine or much better who are out there. They may not be as terrific teachers as me, but it doesn't matter because there's just too many of them. Every damn screenwriter, especially now, is teaching. So therefore, I'm nothing here. But if I leave LA, I am a big deal. I'm a guy who's actually worked in the business. In LA, everybody's worked in the business or knows somebody, and almost always they know someone who's far more impressive than me. So that's the problem with LA festivals for me, but I still might do it. You never know. Imogen says, I believe AI is here to stay and we can use it for learning or laziness. Imogen, I agree with you. And the question, like so many things, I believe that the question, the determination for whether technology or society or anything are going to work or not work for people is whether or not they are being run by businesses. And I'm not anti-business, but I do believe that businesses are currently monopolizing and manipulating our technologies, which they are doing a wonderful job of inventing, but then they are using them primarily for their own gain. And thus the inequality of life and the disputatiousness of life are getting horrendously hyped. And it may be the end of the world. But hopefully we can find some way to balance the healthy business mentality with the health of the rest of society. That is my belief, and AI would be part of that. Imogen is right. The biggest obstacle to writing well is ego. I don't know about that, because in some ways, the biggest thing launching you to write is ego. In the sense that you are taking your thoughts and feelings and observations and impressions and beliefs, and you are saying, look at that. So that's kind of an important, not just a motivation, but a guide. Like that's how you decide. That's my whole point about instinct. So I don't know. I think ego, yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. I find what's wonderful about your way of sharing, Glenn, is, oh, thank you. Personable, honest, human, and wise. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm not fishing for compliments. What I'm trying to share. Because it's uncomfortable to be complimented. Weirdly, although don't stop. But yeah, thank you. Okay. Killian says, self-publishing is awesome. I had a crazy experience where I published a novel, realized it should have been 3, unpublished the novel, and I'm now reworking it to give everyone the whole story. I goofed up, but I'm having fun. See, damn, that's great. That is so cool. Yeah, the thing about self-publishing or doing videos or anything else is if you work within your reality, if you work within what you can afford, and if you work within what you can afford in terms of time and inner stress and all those things, it is a beautiful, pure creativity, I believe. And that's kind of what I want to do, is try and just keep that going. But to me, it is no longer creative to do the writing lessons. I've done them. They're done. That's why I'm doing the book, because the writing lessons are done. I mean, I always come up with, little bits here and there and stuff, but in order to remain creative and in order to remain, frankly, interesting to anyone else, but certainly interesting to me, I've got to break into, and I have to unpublish my site in a way and republish it as the new Writing for Screens. Luckily, just genius bit of chance, by naming this Writing for Screens, I've kept myself from being just a screenwriting teacher, because Writing for Screens includes writing novels, which are read on screens, and possibly other things. So it all worked out. Thank you. Screenwriters have to learn how to watch a movie. That is true. You are not watching as an audience, as a pure audience. You are watching as a craftsman, as an insider, or a hopefully insider. So therefore you watch differently. One of the things and obstacles to receiving notes is certainly ego. That is true. If you are not comfortable, if every bit of criticism or suggestions threaten you or upset you, that's ego in a bad way. Ego is a tricky thing because you need some ego. You need to think people should listen to me, or what I just did is worth sharing. That's ego too. But bad ego is saying, you don't know anything, just listen to me. And I think that's where ego does veer into narcissism. Tricky stuff indeed. So, all right. Any questions? Because otherwise, we'll sort of wind down, I guess. The main thing I came to talk about here is in the self-publishing world, and Kelly will know this. Here's the tricky thing for me. My ideal situation would be being able to do it all myself. Even design my own covers, although I'd probably work with a cover designer because the technology of cover design is different. But I've now discovered that using Scrivener, which I will recommend, Scrivener, hold on, Scrivener, there we go, Scrivener. But also, I'm sure that I know that Apple word processing software and some others, they have a way for you to make a publishable document from your manuscript. In other words, you can go from the manuscript to a document which can either be sent to a printer or to an ebook system, and you will have formatted and decided. And I've been learning that, and it's really cool. And that's what if I do my novel self-published, which is looking pretty likely, except for the cover, I want to DIY all of it. Partly just because I am uncomfortable collaborating. It's cheaper, and I feel more personal pleasure in being able to work within a smaller set of limits, but to DIY. I'm a big believer in DIY, do it yourself, DIY. Okay. People with power can get away with stealing scripts. That's always been true. And here's the ugly thing about that. Even if you were to copyright your script before showing it to anyone, and therefore having proof that you have ownership of that intellectual property, you can get so steamrolled by a company with bigger resources for lawyers, so that even if you're in the right, you might not be able to fight it. But all I can say about stealing scripts is I don't think it happens that much. Now, maybe I'm wrong. It could be that things have gotten worse since I was actively in the business 5 years ago, because the world has changed a lot in 5 years. But when I was working from the late 1980s till the 2015, 2019, people didn't generally steal because it was a small community. The filmmaking community, the producers, the studios, the networks, they all had to work with each other. And therefore, if someone were to get the reputation for stealing, it would be a problem. big people can sometimes do it and get away with it. But the truth is, it was generally easier to just buy it, just pay for it. That's what their business was anyway. Why would you steal something? That would be like, that was just sort of like in The Sopranos, this happened a lot. You would find mobsters who were constantly stealing or bullying or doing bad things when they didn't have to, out of almost a compulsion to get even from each other. And the idea that you would feel somehow a pleasure, a power from stealing, even when you, like, if you were like in going into a store with money to buy and you still stole, that's not because you're not stealing because you need it. You're not stealing because you can't get it. People are sending you their scripts so that you can take them. So therefore, if you're stealing it instead of paying for it, there's something wrong there. There's some weird power game. But and it is not impossible that in our increasingly anonymized system of trading, and in our increasing like it is possible that there is more stealing. But my basic message about this is, I do not believe that the biggest problem screenwriters face is having their stuff stolen. I don't see a lot of evidence for that. What I see a lot of evidence for is there is too much stuff out, getting your stuff noticed, getting your stuff made. That's really, really the problem. And if you're so busy trying not to get stolen from, you're not exposing yourself to the trade that you need to be in. So my personal advice is certainly protect yourself. Make sure that you have copyrighted all of your material before you ever show it to anyone. And keep good records, keep all your emails, keep your, whatever it is, any stuff that will help you to prove that you had this contact with people who took it. Then just send it out. Just keep good records. Make sure that you've protected yourself. Ideally, try and get in contact with some form of lawyer who understands entertainment law. But otherwise, don't worry about stealing. I don't think stealing is that big a deal. There's stealing going on in the AI sense that people are taking scripts and feeding them into the maw of the large language machine, but that's different. They're not that's not a kind of theft that directly takes away your right to use your work. Because the fact is, if you get stolen in the sense that you get collected into an AI database, nobody knows, nobody cares. It's not like the thing that stops you when you're getting stolen from is that somebody else has put out your work. Therefore, you can't put it out. That's the problem. And also, they take the money for it. Anyway, Imogen, do you find that screenwriting and novel writing is hard to shift back and forth between? I prefer prose, but I'm having a blast in my screenwriting class. Film seems pretty intimidating to break into. Several thoughts, and I would say that that the answer to that is yes. Not so much shift back and forth between. My problem is, having been very novel oriented from my childhood, because I was reading a lot then, and in my college days and stuff, in my early life, fiction was a big part of my life. The more I was trying to work in the screenwriting business, the more I steered towards watching movies and learning about movies and script form. So the problem was I began to internalize the rules of scripting, not of prose. And as a result, it's taken me a couple of years, and I've talked about this in my novel writing reports, and I'll talk more about it, but getting my head back into prose, getting myself into the language of fiction has been hard. It's been hard not because I'm going back and forth, but because ruts have been driven into my brain from use, because that's what happens when your brain makes connections. The more you use them, the more those connections strengthen. So the connection to turn everything into dialogue scenes, to turn everything into physical action, to turn everything into short scenes, to stay away from narration or inner monologues. those roots in my brain are pretty strong, and my thoughts naturally slide into them because those are the strongest passages of nerve connections, to be physiological about it. But anyway, the answer is, I think that both forms of writing are valuable, but they don't cross over as much as I would like. Even though good prose writing should be in your script writing, you should, on a sentence and paragraph level, write good writing, write good sentences. It makes a difference. However, the actual storytelling in prose form is very different. And I am having some trouble getting into it, but as I teach, the answer is do it. Do a lot of it. I started reading novels again. I started just practicing prose writing, and the more you do it, the more that comes back. So that is it. But as far as film seeming pretty intimidating to break into, film is hell to break into. It was bad when I was starting, and that was 40, 50 years ago, and it's much, much worse now. So the answer is yeah. DIY, once again, is a good way to keep yourself from being shut out of filmmaking, of screenwriting. If you're interested in film or screen, I urge you to try some form of DIY simply in order to get experience and practice, even if it's not a job. Okay. Roddy says, what are your thoughts on turning personal topics into allegory? I love Japanese storytellers and their ability to bathe their work in allegory. My thoughts are it's a cool style. Here's the thing, turning personal topics into allegory. For instance, if you are dealing with the loss of a parent, or the having a child, or changing jobs, or getting into the workforce, or becoming a vegetarian, or whatever it is that you are that's your personal topic, turning that into allegory, it's a beautiful thing. It is a very specific style. What I tend to think of it is turning it into art forms. That's what I think we all do. The particular art form, some people will turn it into a working class a theater drama about conflict between the generations or the classes or something, which would not be allegorical, although it could be. But everyone will have their own art form. As far as the Japanese allegorical storytelling, I love it. I don't know it that well, but I admire it. And my thoughts are, if you feel it, do it. Just get good at it and do it. I certainly don't think there's anything wrong with it. It also depends on whether if you're making a film that is personal and allegorical and Japanese influenced, just don't expect it to do real well at the big studios and streamers. You're going to need to find someone who understands more personal filmmaking and supports that, producers and whatnot. Michael says, guarantee is a word often used selling products. That is true, and that is one of the things I cannot do. Doreen says, Reads the Editor is free and will format your books for EPUB, if that's helpful. Yes, Reads. There are whole systems of, if you are looking to self-publish, I am not an expert and I am doing it my own way, but yes, there are several systems which will help you to essentially plug your text into their system. Akari says, I self-publish too. Cool. And I do everything myself. My experience showed me I can move faster than everyone else in my world. Yes. Question, are you at all excited about finding ways to market that work for you? Yes, Akari, that is exactly what I am. I am excited when I don't feel like I have to do what everyone is telling me to do, but I can do it my own way. Unsurprisingly. But yes, I am very excited about that. Like when I think of, this is how I want to do that, I have fun. I'm like, oh, okay, let's do that. Let's, by the way, being me and myself and I. Can you take someone's pitch and feed it to AI and come up with something different? I don't know. I have not operated AI. I have never done it. So I don't know. but it does. But I'm not sure why you would want to do that. I mean, essentially, what you'd want to do is if you think their pitch is good and you want to do your version of it, you should do that. You're the AI. You should think, well, how could I take what I like about this thing, like, oh, there's a strong central character and they're, a child or an old person, and then do what comes out of you for that. Is it still advisable to register a script with the Writers Guild to protect your authorship? Yes. I think the biggest concern is from pitch sessions I've heard. Yes, definitely. Pitch, yes. In case you don't know this, I am not a big fan of pitching. But if you are ever going to pitch something, make sure you have written down a complete version of it and copyrighted it or registered with the Writers Guild. Yes, the Writers Guild is a fine place to register things. Let me see if I have that here. I don't seem to. Oh, yes, here. Either in America, you go to copyright.gov or wga.org. If you go to wga.org, there will be a box somewhere on that page which says register your script, which you do not have to be a member to do. It is substantially easier and cheaper than copyright. It is also shorter term. I don't remember the exact number of years that Writers Guild covers you for, maybe 5 or 10, I don't know. But whatever it is, it's copyright obviously is like 75 years. So copyright is a stronger protection and a longer protection, but both of them are absolutely fine. But the thing about pitching is very important. Do not pitch material that you do not have a written version of that you have protected. And second of all, I would say in general, do not pitch. Do not pitch unless you are represented by an agent and you are pitching in an office one-on-one. But if you're going to some big festival and they're saying, we're going to have the audience line up and pitch their stuff to this junior executive at a company, you are wasting your time, I believe. I am not a fan of these pitch fests or these pitch things. The only good thing about them is if you are getting feedback on how you pitch, not on the story itself, but on if you're doing something in order to learn how to be good when you finally get a private meeting with a producer who could do something with your pitch. But that's my take on pitching is don't do it. Unless you are specifically meeting with someone who has the power and is their job is to privately meet with you and hear your idea in that they may then offer you a contract. That's very, very, very unlikely because they have very little incentive. What they'll probably say is, that sounds good. Why don't you come back when it's written? Should the WGA expand membership to people who write for YouTube? Currently, they can't because the point of the union is that they are representing paid employee workers. They don't represent people. The Writers Guild only represents screenwriters who are working as employees of companies who are signed on to work with the union. They are a union, a labor union, which means that they only can represent employees, people who are hired, which includes people who, if your script is bought, you are being bought, and that's in the same employee sense. And the reason that they had to do that was because when it came time to form a union legally in America, you can't have a union of people who are not employed. The whole point of a union is it's workers. So if you were doing just freelancers, that can't be a union, legally speaking. So the Writers Guild had to trade off that freelance independent writer thing for union. Okay. Rich says, register with the WGA and copyright. I have heard if you have a really special story, you should even register it with the Library of Congress. From what I know, copyright is registering it with the Library of Congress. But I don't, honestly, any story you tell that's yours, that you wrote, that you created, the expression of that, the particular words you used is what you are copywriting. You can't copyright a story. You can only copyright the written expression of that story, because that story is an idea and more than one person could use that same story. So the way that you control that is by having, and that's why I said, write it down. Make a complete written version of your creation and register or copyright that. Okay. A Link says, re-registering with the Writers Guild, my understanding is that you don't have to be a member. You do not. No, you definitely don't. Anyone can register with the Writers Guild. It's good. Does a 5-second flashback need a slug line? Yes. Yes. If you are changing time or place for any reason, even for a teeny 5-second flash, you need to identify that. Partly because if they're going to shoot it, they need to know, oh, this is a different time and a different place. So, but anyway, the answer is yes. Every change of time and place, certainly any flashback, should have its own what they call slug line or scene heading. Yes, Imogen is correct. Even if it's the next room, yes. No shade to Jurassic Park Afterbirth, but there were several moments I highly suspected it was an AI script experiment. I haven't seen it. I got to tell you, the trailer made me think it would be fun. I have not really been a big devotee of Jurassic Parks. The original book was really good. I'm not a fan of the original movie, but the third of the original series of movies, the further you get away from the good the standard version, the more you get into essentially a fun monster movie, the more that these movies are fun. And I think that we may have devolved in this last set to where the new Jurassic Park may be fun. I haven't seen it. I'm looking forward to seeing it when I get a chance. Okay, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Roddy. Thank you, A Link. Thank you, all of my guests and friends. Thank you for listening to me and your advice and your thoughts. And next week we will do this again. So go write something.